Who doesn't love the Fairchild Republic A-10 Thunderbolt II? This popular close air support plane is commonly referred to as the Warthog or flying tank. The A-10 is perhaps best known for its fearsome GAU-8 Avenger 30mm gatling cannon. The thrilling sound of an A-10's firing its cannon is enough for enemies to flee the scene. You definitely don't want to be at the receiving end when the roaring A-10 coughs up 3,900 rounds per minute. But what if we told you that the A-10 Warthog has a rival that might even be better? Stay with us as we take a look at the Northrop YA-9A here at Military Intelligence. World War II brought the idea of close air support strike aircraft to the forefront of modern warfare. From the air, these planes could give heavy fire support to ground forces and cover a large area. These planes and airmen attacked enemy soldiers and vehicles close to Allied forces. During the war, fighter planes were either changed to fighter bombers or specialized attack planes. During the war, the Republic P-47 Thunderbolt, Lockheed P-38 Lightning, and other planes helped the American Army from above. The marches on Rome, Berlin, and Tokyo allowed the service to provide heavy firepower against determined enemy ground forces. The United States Army Air Force changed into the United States Air Force in September 1947. This took direct close air support away from the Army. Also, the Army was limited in what kinds of fixed-wing aircraft it could buy so that it wouldn't get in the way of USAF planes already in use. This joint arrangement was used for the first time during the Korean War, when many platforms from World War II were still in use, and jets were just starting to come into use. The close air support requirement was still vital, and the prop-powered Douglas Sky Raider from after World War II met it. This big plane proved to be a strong, heavy hitter that could carry a lot of war supplies and stay in one place for quite some time, which jet planes that flew faster and used more fuel couldn't. Jet planes played an important role, and they were definitely the way of the future. However, their engines didn't have much useful range, and their approach speeds weren't low enough for more precise attacks or second runs on a target, which were very dangerous. As the U.S. involvement in Southeast Asia grew during the Vietnam War, many different types of aircraft, including some that were used in World War II, were put into the close air support role. But these airframes were either not good enough to fight a better prepared enemy or were past their prime, so the U.S. Air Force had to use its high-speed jets as fighter bombers. The Army eventually chose the Rockwell OV-10 Bronco, which came from the Light Armed Reconnaissance Aircraft program. However, it still needed a heavier hitter with better survivability. North Vietnamese anti-aircraft artillery became more practical, and surface-to-air missiles and enemy jets worsened the problem. It was only a matter of time before enemy armor became a threat to forward operators on the ground as well. The Army was no longer happy relying on the Air Force for close air support, so it started its own program, the Advanced Aerial Fire Support System, to help meet the need. To get around the fixed-wing rule, the plane was made like a compound helicopter to fly at speeds close to 255 miles per hour while carrying a helpful warload. This project led to the Lockheed AH-56 Cheyenne attack helicopter, which flew for the first time in 1967. However, the program did not work out, and only 10 helicopters were finished before it ended. In 1966, the U.S. Air Force decided to go forward with the Attack Experimental Program. This was done along with the Fighter Experimental Program, which led to the famous McDonnell Douglas F-15 Eagle Air Superiority Fighter. The AX program was meant to fill the standing close air support role, which called for a low-cost aircraft with good low-level maneuverability, good survivability for both the pilot and the airframe, strong rough field operational capability, a heavy ordnance load, a minimum speed of 400 miles per hour, and low maintenance needs. The main thing on the wish list was a replacement for the Sky Raider, which was doing a great job during the Vietnam War. Because this new plane would be used at low altitudes, armoring its cockpit and systems would be very important to its ability to stay alive. Also, for the speeds that were planned for the machine, jet engines were needed, and the new high-bypass engines that were becoming available gave the range required that the older, low-bypass engines didn't have. To meet the needs of the Air Force, a lot of thought would have to go into the inside of the plane, such as where to put the fuel tanks, avionics, weapons, backup systems. Several American plane makers, including Northrop and Fairchild Republic, were asked to develop different designs for the close air support platform. In 1967, the enemy in Vietnam started using armored formations more often. This made lightly armed and armored infantry and vehicle elements more vulnerable and pushed for a broader close air support concept. Other countries, especially Israel, had used the 30mm cannon successfully against tank armor from the sides, top, and back of the vehicle in other global conflicts. The American 20mm M61 Vulcan was tested, but this smaller caliber gun was ruled out. Instead, a proposal was made for a new 30mm gatling-style rotary cannon that could fire 4,000 rounds per minute. At this time in history, there was also a chance that Soviet tanks would move into Western Europe. This made it even more important that the new planes could destroy tanks. Several companies were asked to make the cannon, but General Electric and Philco Ford were the leading competitors. Even though the close air support aircraft proposal was sent to about 12 companies, few were interested in the design. Cessna, General Dynamics, Lockheed, Northrop, and Republic became the top companies in the running. However, only Northrop and Republic were chosen because their proposals were the most interesting. In March 1971, the official names for each plane were YA-9 and YA-10, respectively. Philco Ford lost out to General Electric in the end for the contract to make the 30mm cannon, and this gun became the GAU-8 Gatling gun system. In the meantime, each YA-9 and YA-10 would carry a 20mm M61 instead. Northrop's YA-9 was mainly a standard design. Its layouts was similar to that of the Bell P-59 Era Comet, America's first jet-powered fighter, and it came out during World War II. Straight wings on the shoulder allow for the correct number of gun stations under the wings and more control at lower altitudes. The wings would also hold the fuel tanks needed for operational ranges and loitering times. This would keep flammable materials away from sources of ignition. The pilot had a great view out of the cockpit, which was behind the nose cone and covered by a bubble-shaped canopy. The engines were set up on either side of the fuselage, under the wings, and they burned out well before the tail unit. The empennage was made up of a single vertical tail fin and two horizontal planes on either side of the fin that was tilted up. The aircraft was given a low-clearance undercarriage, with the main legs under the plane's center of mass and the nose leg under the cockpit. The Northrop design was very different from the Republic YA-10, which was the other design in the competition. The Republic YA-10 had engines in separate, externally mounted nacelles that were placed between two tail rudder assemblies. Like the YA-9, it had straight, low-mounted wings, and the cockpit was under a bubble-shaped canopy for good visibility. Republic's design was a new type of airplane for the time, and it had advantages that Northrop's engineering team didn't have. For example, the placement of the engines helped to hide their signature from ground-based radar, and the fact that they were spaced out meant that the loss of one engine didn't mean the loss of the whole plane. Also, when attacking at low altitudes, the intakes of high-mounted engines didn't get clogged with debris, which didn't happen with the YA-9's low-mounted engines. So that was all about the Northrop YA-9A. If you liked today's video, then do check out more videos like this on our channel. Also, do subscribe to our channel and hit the like button for more military intelligence.